You ever sit back and you wonder why we're still talking about something? Like, why on this green earth are we still talking about the Snyder Cut? I'm gonna show you why we're still talking about the Snyder Cut. Hop over to this, right? Okay. So, recently, Rolling Stone, right? Exclusive. Fake accounts fuel the Snyder Cut online army. Okay, we're gonna get into that. So, let's see what the numbers look like for right here. Now, not just to skim over anything else inside this article, but in the article, they're basically talking about how during the making of the Snyder Cut, fans would attack other directors, people who worked for WB that they felt were either a threat to the Snyder Cut being released, were diversions from the Snyder Cut, or were actively working against it. And I'll tell you this right now. I don't condone attacking people online. I think it's bullshit. And if you're the type of person who does that, you're full of shit. However, you go a little bit further in the article and it starts talking about numbers. And that's the beautiful thing about numbers. Numbers can be fabricated, but they always come to light. And they came to light here. And as the mayhem built, many insiders questioned how organic the Snyderverse Legion really was. According to two reports commissioned by Warner Media. Now this is Warner Media. This is Warner Brothers. And recently attained by the Rolling Stone, at least 13% of the accounts that took part in the conversation about the Snyder Cut were deemed fake, well above the 3 to 5% that cyber experts say they typically see on a trending topic. Now, I don't know if you spend a lot of time online. I'm going to assume that you do because you're on YouTube. Have you ever taken just a scroll through Instagram? If you scroll through a popular person on Instagram's comment section, 60% of the comments are bots. Like 60% of the comments that they get hit by in the first 5 minutes are bots until they get drowned out by the likes put on regular people's comments. Even on YouTube. When I go on YouTube, there are, I post a video, there are multiple fake comments that will pop up. Usually YouTube's automated system is extremely good at catching those comments and removing them before I have to see them. But every once in a while I'll see them. They'll post like 5. I'll shadow ban the account so that it's no longer posting on the channel, and then I'll move on with my day. You log on PlayStation. And sometimes, or Xbox, and you'll get random bullshit ads from fake PlayStation and Xbox accounts that are like, come over to my website and get $200 PlayStation Network card if you click on this shady link. Or it's like, I'm selling sex and I live in like Romania or something. Click on my shady link. There are fake bullshit accounts everywhere. 13% isn't really a lot. Because what that tells me is if you flip that, 87% of the people that are talking about this topic are real and genuine accounts that were interested. That means that there were millions of people that were interested in the Snyder Cut, and then a couple 100,000 were fake accounts. But wait, there's more, because this isn't the only article. Because sometimes you really have to watch what they're saying. Watch the leaks, because the leaks always build towards something. So Rolling Stone dropped that. 7 hours later, Insider dropped this. Zack Snyder's version of Justice League was unwatchable and joyless before Joss Whedon was brought in. And it's like, another leak from inside of the WB Warner Brothers wheelhouse, which is referencing the Rolling Stone article that we just came from, that Warner Brothers executives are essentially saying that, this movie was unwatchable. It was horrendous. It was too long. It was a disaster. Let's see. With a runtime of more than 2.5 hours, those in the room deemed the movie a disaster and a full-on failure. A source also told the publication that this was when Whedon was brought in as a writer and a consultant. 9 days later, Snyder presented a second cut, which was still over 2 hours and which Whedon gave notes on. After Snyder's daughter died in mid-March, he reportedly continued working to cut the film down in time At the same time, the studio had Whedon work on making the film's tone less dark and serious. Now, here's the thing. These are decisions that are being made by WB executives. I would like to remind you that these are the same WB executives who, one, did not understand why the Green Lantern John Stewart was black. That, two, did not understand what the Flash was doing when he was running back in time. That, three, gave this man all of this creative control. So right off the bat, you're complaining about the amount of creative freedom that Zack Snyder took with the movie. But at the exact same time, you're the studio that gave him the creative freedom. And we've seen studios give directors creative freedom recently, and it just absolutely goes sideways and crater into the ground. And I am talking about Star Wars. The idea of 3 separate directors with 3 individual creative freedoms and 3 individual styles was going to be a disaster before they ended up bringing J.J. Abrams back to patch Frankenstein's monster with The Rise of Skywalker. But WB gave him this creative control. Why did they give him this creative control? Because they themselves did not understand the characters, because they're not fans of the characters. I would even assume that most of them, including Walter Hamada, aren't major fans of the characters. They don't sit down and understand where the characters are coming from, how the powers exactly work. They're just suits. They're suits in a corporate boardroom who are only looking at dollar signs. And they sat around, and I'll agree with them on that one part, that the Snyder Cut is too long. It's like 4 hours. For the most part, you can trim a lot of that fat, probably get the movie down to about 2 hours, 45 minutes, maybe close to 3 hours, and that'll be fine. Because Avengers Endgame, how long was Avengers Endgame? Avengers Endgame was, Avengers Endgame runtime. Avengers Endgame runtime was 3 hours and 2 minutes. Infinity War's runtime was 2 hours and 29 minutes. So I would say the first Avengers movie was 2 hours and 23 minutes. Age of Ultron was 2 hours and 21 minutes. Avengers Endgame was the only one that was 3 hours. I'd say that you could probably trim the Snyder Cut down to around 2 hours and 45 minutes. Maybe I'd say around 2 hours and 50 minutes, because there's some really nice scenes in there. Because there is a lot of fat. However, at the exact same time, it is a way better constructed movie than Joss Whedon's cut. I understand the idea that they sat down and they were like, well, we don't want the series to be that dark. I agree. This is a call you should have made in Man of Steel. After Man of Steel, you should have been able to see the tone that the universe was setting. And then you should have sat down with Zack and been like, look, I understand the direction that you want to take it in. However, I feel as though the tone for Superman is a little bit too dark. You could have went, okay, this tone, however, is great for Batman, and it's fantastic for Ben Affleck's character. But for Superman, we kind of want to keep it bright. We kind of want to keep it cheery. That's what you throw in. Right off of Man of Steel. Those are the suggestions that you throw in there. That way, by the time you get to Batman versus Superman, you're not dealing with a really dark, moody, and emotional Superman. You're dealing with the Superman that you're used to from Justice League animated series, or Superman the animated series, or any of the plethora of animated movies that Superman has been in. The hope, the shining beacon of the DC universe. Instead, you allowed Zack to continue down his path. Then Batman vs. Superman got released. And once again, that movie was also super fucking dark. The themes about killing Martha, and then the Batman vs. Superman fight, and then the relationship with Lois, and there's a lot of just dark tone in that movie. That's like, do you bleed? Will. Like, okay. You don't need to make the fight between Batman versus Superman that dark. It doesn't have to be that dark at all. But once again, like I said, this is a call that should have been made in Man of Steel. After you saw Man of Steel, you're the executives of Warner Brothers. You should have been able to see the direction that your property was going in and been like, okay, no, Yes. No. But you got exposed. And what I mean by you got exposed is the entire time leading all the way up to Justice League being released. By the time Justice League was released and it bombed, and people were saying that this was the worst movie ever and that Joss Whedon was a complete fucking idiot, before we discovered all the sexual assault allegations and anti-feminist bullshit that Joss Whedon was on, when we got the Snyder Cut, you were exposed because you didn't really want to do it, and then you did it. But then when you did it, a lot of the complaints that you had in the past crept up to the future, where people were like, wait, so instead of putting a Green Lantern in here, you chose to put Martian Manhunter because you didn't understand why there was a black Green Lantern? And when the Flash was running back in time, you didn't understand exactly how his powers worked. And because you didn't understand how his powers worked, you didn't think that that was a good scene and that that scene should be cut. And you agreed with Joss Whedon when he said that that scene should be cut. And instead you replaced it with the Flash tripping over his feet, being an unsure, socially awkward nerd, that type of shit. You guys don't understand the property, which explains why you gave Zack so much freedom. But that gets to what's happening right now, because there's no reason that this should be popping up right now or in any way, shape, or form. Zack Snyder's over there doing his own thing on Netflix. Like, he's got the Star Wars ripoff thing that he's doing. You guys are focusing on the Flash. That's it right there. That's it right there. You are focusing on the Flash. And there has been nothing but negative news about Ezra Miller. Across the board. There's been negative news about Ezra Miller for like the last 3 months. And as we're getting closer to the Flash, there's another trailer coming out extremely soon. So, what do we choose to do? We don't have a target. Let's kick the hornet's nest. Let's kick the restore the Snyderverse nest one more time. Let's attack people and say that, oh, you know, well, Zack Snyder wasn't really that amazing. A lot of it was driven by bots, you know, but hey, the Flash is coming out extremely soon. Yeah, no. Flash is going to be DOA. It's going to be dead on arrival. People are honestly tired of Ezra Miller's shit, and I feel as though it's really not going to... It might do good. I'm not going to say it's not going to. There's a probability that it will do good. But there's also the high probability that because of the negative news surrounding Ezra Miller, it's not going to do as good as I think you hope it's going to do. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I might be right. But stop. Like, let it die. There's no reason to constantly continue bringing up the whole release the Snyder Cut thing. Like, now we're talking about how the fact that, you know, Zack manipulated like the social media movement and he was using it to like attack people and all this other type of shit. It's like, come on. Like, that situation is dead and done. What happened was extremely simple. Zack had a vision. He didn't get to release the vision. You kicked him out. You brought in Joss Whedon. He fucked it up. People got mad. They started seeing clips and behind the scenes shots of Zack's movie. It started a movement. Like any movement online these days, there's bad actors and there's fake accounts. Those fake accounts were in the movement. Zack got to make it. The movie was good. It was better than whatever the fuck you guys were attempting to put out. It exposed you guys for not being able to understand your own property. And you, for whatever reason, you can't get over it. And because your property, the one that he exposed, because this Flash isn't related to the Snyder Cut Flash. This Flash is a continuation of Whedon's Flash. Because Whedon's Flash is canon. You're trying to like go back and attack Zack to put him down in the event that your movie isn't as good and people continue to point to Zack Snyder's cut of the Flash and say that, yeah, no, that's still the better character. No, fuck off. Like, go do something else. Focus on making the Flash movie good. Focus on finding Ezra Miller's replacement, and focus on rebuilding the DC cinematic universe. Like, yeah, go focus on that. Stop taking time out of your day to like push these bullshit comments out there about about Zack Snyder, and that's done. That was a couple years ago. I wasn't even thinking about the Snyder Cut or anything along those lines until you brought this shit up. Stop it. It's done. Like, move on. I moved on. Stop bringing me back here, please. It's over.